She was just a poor hotel worker, mocked, insulted, and humiliated by everyone around her. But no one knew the truth, that the dishwasher girl was actually the secret heiress of a billion-dollar empire. And when the truth comes out, every single person who wronged her is about to face a twist they never saw coming. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The sun hadn't yet broken over the skyline when Layla started her shift at Bean & Bloom, a popular cafe tucked in the corner of a busy street. She wore a borrowed apron, her sleeves rolled up, and a quiet smile on her face. Most customers never noticed her. She was the girl behind the noise, the dishwasher, the silent helper, but Layla didn't mind. At least not at first. Every morning she arrived early. She worked hard, never complained. She greeted everyone, even if most barely acknowledged her. Her only dream was simple: earn enough to help her sick aunt pay for medicine and maybe, just maybe, save up for night school someday. But dreams are fragile things when the world decides to be cruel. That day started like any other. The clatter of mugs, the hum of orders, the faint scent of coffee beans in the air. Layla had just finished washing a tall stack of dishes when it happened. A man in an expensive suit, Brennan, bumped into her near the kitchen door. "Excuse me, sir, are you okay?" she asked politely. "Are you blind?" he snapped. "You ruined my suit." She looked down. A small drop of sauce had splashed on his shirt, but it hadn't come from her. It had come from his own tray, piled high with food. "I didn't do it on purpose," she said quietly. "But it wasn't my fault." "Oh, so now you're blaming me?" he shouted, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. "These bowls?" He pointed at a shattered plate on the floor. "You'll pay for them all." The manager, Reza, came storming out. "What's going on?" he barked. "She smashed my bowls and stained my clothes," Brennan yelled. "That true?" Reza turned to Layla, arms crossed. "No," she replied. "I said sorry, but it wasn't my..." "Enough. You're fired." Layla froze. Her breath caught in her chest. "Sir, please. I need this job." "Then maybe you shouldn't go around hitting rich guests with dishes," he scoffed, "and get out." "But what about my pay for this month?" she asked softly. Reza's eyes narrowed. "Your clumsiness just cost us a VIP customer. If anything, you owe us a month's pay." Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't cry. Not in front of them. Instead, she pulled off her apron, folded it neatly, and placed it on the counter. As she turned to leave, Brennan leaned in close and whispered, "Next time, keep that pretty mouth shut and maybe someone will let you stay a little longer." She said nothing, but the words stayed with her. Out on the street, the cold wind stung her skin. She had only 200 rupees in her pocket, no job, and a sick aunt waiting at home. The city, which once felt like a place of possibility, now felt like a cage. Layla walked for hours, past the market, past the library, past the park bench where she once dreamed of being something more. "I don't deserve this," she whispered to herself. "Just because I'm poor doesn't mean I should be treated like dirt." And as if fate was listening, a sleek black car rolled up beside her. The tinted window lowered, revealing a man in a gray suit and silver glasses. "Miss Layla," she blinked. "Yes?" The man stepped out and offered a respectful bow. "My name is Mr. Farid. I've been looking for you for a long time." She stared at him, confused. "I'm your father's personal advisor." Layla stepped back. "You must have the wrong person. I don't even know my father. I assure you there's no mistake." He handed her a white envelope and a gold-colored card with a strange emblem. She hesitated, then opened the letter. "My dearest daughter, forgive me. I've made mistakes I can never take back. But now I want to make them right. If you're reading this, then you are ready to step into the life that was always meant for you." Zaire, she looked up, stunned. "Zaire?" "Your father," Farid confirmed gently. "Owner of YH Holdings, the largest business group in the country. He has returned, and he wants you to come home." Layla's hands trembled. You've been tested, Miss Layla, Farid said with a calm voice. And you've passed with grace. The world judged you by your clothes. They never saw your heart. But your father did. And now, he wants the world to see it too. Layla couldn't speak. She was still trying to breathe. I don't want anything from him, she said, almost to herself. I just wanted to be treated with respect. Then come and take it, Farid replied. Not with anger, but with dignity. The car door opened. Layla looked at her reflection in the window. The dishwasher girl was gone, and something else, someone stronger, was about to rise. The day after her life was flipped upside down, Layla found herself standing in front of the tallest glass building she had ever seen. It sparkled like a giant mirror, touching the clouds. At the top, in gold letters, was the name YH Holdings, the name her so-called father owned. She took a deep breath and stepped through the rotating doors, gripping the strange gold card Farid had given her. She didn't know what it meant, only that it felt too heavy for her pocket and even heavier in her heart. The security guards at the entrance didn't give her a second glance until she showed them the card. Their eyes widened. Please, miss. Right this way, one of them said quickly, guiding her toward the VIP elevator. We didn't realize. We're very sorry. She didn't reply. She was still trying to understand what she had walked into. The elevator opened into a private lounge at the top floor. It was silent, sleek, and far too clean, like a room that didn't expect to be lived in. Farid was already there, standing, beside a long window overlooking the city. Good morning, Miss Layla, he said, bowing again. Your father will arrive soon. In the meantime, I've been asked to help you verify your status and inheritance. My what? She asked, blinking. He smiled softly. You are the only daughter of Mr. Zaire, the founder of YH Holdings. That card, he pointed to her hand, is a master key to his private accounts. No limit, no expiry. It is recognized by every major bank in this country. Layla shook her head. There has to be a mistake. I was washing dishes just yesterday. Sometimes, Farid said kindly, life keeps the brightest diamonds hidden in dust, but eventually they shine. Still unsure, she agreed to visit the city's most elite bank, Windsor Capital, to confirm the card's validity. Inside the marble halls of Windsor, every step Layla took echoed like a secret. The people around her wore suits worth more than her family's old apartment. She felt eyes on her the moment she entered. When she reached the counter and handed the card to the teller, the woman raised an eyebrow. This card isn't real, the teller said coldly. Where did you get this? I was told to check its status, Layla answered. A man nearby snickered. Probably stolen. Looks like she walked in straight from the street. Another woman added, some people just can't accept they don't belong here. A small crowd began to whisper. One even pulled out their phone to record her. Layla's heart began to pound. The familiar sting of humiliation crawled up her spine. Just like at the cafe. Judged again for how she looked, how she dressed, for not wearing makeup, for not wearing pride-like perfume. I didn't steal it, she said firmly. Call your manager, he'll know. The teller rolled her eyes but tapped her headset. Moments later, a tall man in a blue suit approached. He looked at the card in the teller's hand and froze. This card, he said, now looking at Layla. Where did you get this? I was told it belongs to me, she replied quietly. He stared at her for a long second. Then, to everyone's shock, he bowed. Miss Layla, welcome to Windsor Capital. I apologize for the misunderstanding. Please follow me to the executive floor. Gasps filled the lobby. One woman dropped her phone. As Layla walked past them, escorted like royalty, she didn't speak a word. But in her silence, there was power, grace, revenge wrapped in calm. On the executive floor, the manager handed her a tablet. On the screen were rows and rows of numbers. Her name was there too. And beneath it, primary account holder. Balance, $97,650,000. Her breath caught. So it's true, she whispered. Yes. The manager said. "And I've also been instructed to provide you with this." He handed her a small box. Inside was a phone with one contact saved. "Father. He's looking forward to speaking with you," the manager said with a respectful nod. Later that evening, Layla stood on the rooftop of her aunt's building, the city lights glowing around her like stars on earth. She remembered every insult. Every time someone told her she was just a dishwasher. Every moment she was overlooked, underpaid, and underestimated, but she didn't feel angry. She felt awake. Fareed had offered her a place to stay in one of her father's properties. A driver, a wardrobe, a staff. She said no. She wanted to walk her own path for a little while longer. She wanted to see who would treat her kindly, not for her name, but for her soul. Her father would meet her in 3 days. But before that, she had one more thing to do. She glanced down at the gold card shining under the moonlight. "I think," she whispered, "it's time I visit that cafe again." And just like that, the real daughter was on her way back. Not for revenge, for truth. Layla stood in front of the Royal Manor Hotel, wearing a crisp new uniform. Her name badge read Lena. It wasn't her real name, but that was the plan. She wanted to see how people treated her when they thought she was still an ordinary girl. After discovering she was the daughter of a powerful business tycoon, Layla could have chosen a life of luxury, but she wanted to learn, to grow, and to prove that she could succeed on her own first. So she took a job as a trainee manager at the Royal Manor Hotel, the same hotel once owned by her father's company. On her first day, she was assigned to assist the housekeeping team. She smiled at guests, helped carry towels, and made notes in her training journal. Some workers were kind, others whispered behind her back, but Layla stayed calm. She had been through worse. What she didn't expect was to run into her old manager from the cafe, Reza. He stood in the hallway, speaking with a senior staff member. When he spotted her, he narrowed his eyes. "You," he said, stepping forward. "You're that dishwasher girl." Layla's heart skipped. She kept her voice steady. "I think you're mistaken. My name is Lena." Reza stared harder. "You look familiar." "I get that a lot," she replied, walking past him with her head held high. But Reza wasn't convinced. And unfortunately, he wasn't the only problem. The next day, she met Darren, a rich guest and a friend of Reza's. Darren was charming on the surface, but something about his smile felt false. He made too many comments, leaned too close, and laughed a little too loud whenever she passed. That evening, while Layla was checking room service logs in the lounge, Darren appeared again. "You work hard, Lena," he said, sipping a glass of wine. "You know, I could help you move up faster." "No, thank you," she said, politely but firmly. "Oh, come on," he said, placing his glass down. "I'll pay you triple your salary for just one evening of company." Layla froze. "I said no. You poor girls act innocent, but you all have a price," Darren said with a smirk. Suddenly, Hamid walked in. Layla's face lit up. Hamid was her boyfriend, the one person who truly knew her heart. He had been her rock during the hard days, even when his own life was complicated. "What's going on here?" Hamid asked, looking between them. Darren smiled and stood. "Nothing much, just a friendly chat." Layla didn't say anything. She didn't want to start drama, especially at work. But something about Hamid's expression changed. Later, Layla asked, "Are you okay?" Hamid sighed. "I just don't like how that man talks to you." "I can handle him," Layla said softly. Hamid nodded, but she could tell he was bothered. A few days later, things got worse. At a company dinner, Layla was serving drinks when she saw Hamid sitting with his mother, Madame Samira, and a girl named Rania. Rania was wealthy, beautiful, and always wore expensive clothes. She also happened to be madly interested in Hamid. "Lena," Madame Samira said loudly, calling her over. Layla forced a smile. "Yes, ma'am." "I didn't know you worked here," Samira said with a sneer. "Tell me, do they teach you manners in housekeeping school?" Layla's smile faded slightly. I'm doing a management internship. Of course, Samira replied. Well, good luck with that. Hamid deserves someone who can support him, not someone who brings him cleaning tips. Rania giggled. Layla stayed quiet, but the word stung. Later that night, Layla overheard a conversation that shook her. In the hallway behind the banquet room, Rania was speaking on the phone. Don't worry, Hamid's falling for it. His mom's already convinced. Once I embarrass that housekeeper girl in front of everyone, she'll be gone. Then he's mine. Layla leaned against the wall, heart racing. She wanted to burst out and confront her, but instead she walked away. Quiet, but determined. The next morning she reported to work like usual. Except this time, Reza assigned her to clean a VIP guest room, alone. Even though it wasn't her department's task. I'm the manager. Do as I say, he barked when she questioned him. Suspicious, but without proof, she went. When she entered the suite, she was shocked to see Darren again, this time half-dressed and holding an empty wine bottle. Oh, look, he said with a grin. Just the girl I wanted to see. Before she could react, he grabbed her wrist. Let go of me, she shouted. He pulled harder. 20 million in damages unless you settle it. But just as Darren tried to force her further inside, the door burst open. Hamid stood there, eyes blazing. Behind him came Farid and two uniformed security officers. Take your hands off. Her, Hamid growled. Darren backed away, suddenly pale. You've made a big mistake, Farid said coldly. Security grabbed Darren, who began to shout and plead. It was just a joke. I didn't do anything. Farid turned to Layla. Are you all right? She nodded slowly. Hamid rushed to her side. Darren will be dealt with, Farid added. And as for Reza, he'll never work in this city again. Layla blinked. How did you know I was here? Farid smiled. You're not just anybody, Miss Layla. We always keep an eye out for our future leader. Layla looked at Hamid. He didn't ask questions. He just held her hand, and for the first time in weeks she felt truly safe. But deep in her heart she knew it wasn't over yet, because shadows don't disappear that easily. The sun was just beginning to rise over the city, casting a soft golden light across the skyline. From the balcony of the tall glass building, Layla stood quietly, watching the streets below. The world was waking up, but her heart had never felt more awake than it did now. It had been only weeks since her life changed, but it felt like years. Layla was no longer just the girl who washed dishes and swept hotel floors. She was now the confirmed heir to YH Holdings, the empire her father, Mr. Zaire, had built with his own two hands. But she didn't feel like a princess in a fairy tale, not even close. She still remembered every insult. Every time someone looked at her like she was nothing. Every door slammed in her face, every laugh whispered behind her back they didn't know the truth. And now that they did, many had changed. Smiles appeared where silence once was. Kindness replaced cruelty. But Layla saw through it. People respected power, not always character. That was why she had chosen to return not as Miss Layla Zaire, but as herself, still dressed in modest clothes, still choosing humility, still watching carefully who spoke to her and how. She was due to take over as general manager of YH Holdings the following week. Her father, now proud and emotional, had finally embraced her again, apologizing for the years apart. He said she would be the heart of the company. But Layla had one condition before stepping into that office. I want to prove to myself that I can lead, she told him, not because of my name, but because I've earned it. And he had nodded with tears in his eyes. You already have. But she still had one more thing to finish. That afternoon, the hotel's annual staff meeting was held in the grand ballroom. Every employee was present, housekeepers, receptionists, chefs, managers, and even executives from the parent company. It was Layla's idea to attend not as a guest but as a speaker. She stood quietly behind the curtain as her name was announced. And now, a very special guest. Please welcome Miss Layla Zaire. Gasps filled the room. A few jaws dropped. Some even stood up in shock. When Layla stepped onto the stage, she wasn't wearing a glittering gown or designer heels. She wore a simple white blouse and navy slacks, the same uniform she had worn as a trainee just weeks ago. Her voice was calm. "Many of you knew me as Lena," she began. "You saw me carrying towels, cleaning rooms, and serving water. Some of you ignored me. Some helped me. And a few tried to humiliate me." The room went silent. "But I wasn't here to test you," she said. "I wasn't acting. I was learning." A few employees looked down in shame. "I learned that true character doesn't need a title. Respect shouldn't come from the size of your wallet. And no job is small if done with dignity." Layla paused, scanning the crowd. "I also learned that power is not about how many people you command. It's about how many you lift." Thunderous applause broke out. After the meeting, many came forward. Some apologized, others thanked her. A few simply stared in disbelief. But Layla didn't gloat. She had come full circle, not for revenge, but for clarity. Outside the ballroom, she found Hamid waiting. He smiled, holding a single sunflower, her favorite. "You did it," Layla smiled back. "We did." That evening, at a quiet rooftop dinner with just her father and Hamid, Mr. Zaire lifted his glass. "To Layla," he said, "not because you are my daughter, but because you have become your own woman." Layla raised hers too. "To the people who doubted me, they made me stronger. To the ones who believed in me, they made me brave," Hamid added with a grin. "And to the girl who wore the crown long before anyone saw it." Layla laughed, tears in her eyes. And as the stars blinked above, she felt something settle inside her. Not pride, not power, but peace. She had walked through fire and come out shining, not because she was born rich, but because she chose to rise. She didn't need someone else's name, money, or permission to stand tall. She had built a crown of her own, and now, the world would know it.